Good morning, everybody. So nice to be with you towards the end of another week. I may move back to the model I was using for tea time before, which is that I record maybe Thursdays, could be earlier in the week, just whenever I have a time slot during my day, and then put them out on Fridays. I'm thinking that that is going to work well for the semester. There might be weeks during the semester where I don't get a tea time out. Just, you know, trying to prepare myself for that possibility. But I cannot see myself ever going 2 weeks without doing an episode. So this will remain a weekly to bi-weekly podcast for sure. I enjoy doing these. They do take a little bit of time in the post-production. Not a lot of time, but it's actually faster for me to just write a blog post. But with this, I've got to do stuff with the video and the audio and prepare the show notes and all that with all the links. And it does take slightly longer than just writing a post. So there could be weeks where that just doesn't happen once I go back to teaching. But like I said, if I ever miss a week, I will be very motivated to put a podcast together the following week. And so I'm very optimistic that this is going to be still a very regular show. But in other podcasting news, before we get into our topic of the day, which is St. Francis de Sales and sort of my positivity training for the new year, podcasting, I had mentioned this before, but I have in terms of my co-hosted podcast with Christina, Planned Not Scripted, which was a lot of fun. We worked on that over the late spring and summer of 2016, and then come fall, my nightmare began with work. And the evenings are just so hard for both of us because we still have small kids to try and have time. I was using my lunch hour, once a month for that show. And even once a month, it became so difficult. And then we had the audio problem with Skype, and that was the death knell for a time. I just didn't have time to work on it and fix it. And so that problem has been remedied, and I fixed it before Christmas. Christina and I are set to do a test sometime this week and just make sure that our new recording software is working properly. And then we're going to try to record before the spring term begins for me, which begins January 30th. So we have a little time to make that happen, and I'm very optimistic that that too is going to have a revival. And so that will be a monthly show. I don't know, once the semester starts, so that's going to be the difficult months will be February, March, April. But I think that once a month, now that the audio problem is solved, I can make it happen. I think the semester is going to be a little bit less bad. A little bit, at least a little bit, than last semester. So I think we're going to be able to do that and come off of hiatus. And I'm really excited about it. We have a lot to talk about. So if you're looking for lots of emotional support with regards to stress, work-life balance, family life, living out your Catholic faith on a daily basis, just amongst these very mundane things that we all do every day, this is the podcast for you. And we have a lot of fun when we do it. Christina is a blast to hang out with. And so I really look forward to creating those shows with her. And I know that you will love hanging out with her as well. So I'm very excited about that. So, okay. That does tie into our theme, which is positivity. Also, St. Francis de Sales. He's just been on my mind lately. Lots going on with him. So I have been working very hard as one of my New Year's resolutions to stay more positive, especially with regards to my job. It's very easy to stay positive about the rest of my life because it's wonderful. Work has been very difficult since we've moved to this different teaching model where I have been teaching a lot more than I ever have. And not only that, but I've been just teaching the same thing every week. So, well, for 1 week, I just teach the same lesson. We'll say multiple times, but that doesn't even really begin to cover. Anywhere from 13 to 17 times is what I was doing in the fall. It was not enjoyable. There was nothing enjoyable about it. I guess that's not technically true. I had some very positive experiences with students where it was rewarding. Besides that, it was quite terrible. So I have been really working hard to remain or to be more positive and then remain positive. So that's one of my New Year's resolutions. And so I have been trying to frame my discussions with friends about work in a more positive light. And it has been helping. There is something about sort of changing the way that you you can't really change the way that you feel, but just changing sort of your interior chemistry about something. So whether that be a situation or a person, sort of like St. Teresa's little way, I guess. If you, and sometimes it's not easy, so it's not like it's going to be able to be that you have, you completely 100% change the way that you feel about something. You just really can't always do that. But if you even force your own hand a little bit and say, I am going to do my best to be positive. And so, of course, your feelings are going to be up and down, but just keep redirecting yourself that I'm going to act and think in a more positive manner about this person or about this situation. And that will affect a difference in your behavior, of course. And it does seem to then give back, that it makes the situation or the person, sometimes at least, react to you in a different way. And then that can, of course, help you to feel a little bit more positive about whatever it is that's going on. Now, of course, we can't change other people, and there are things in life in terms of a situation that you can't control and you can't change it. But when you change something within yourself, it does seem to just make a larger difference. And ultimately, it makes me happier, even if it doesn't seem like that at first. It's a huge effort. And so I've really been working on that. And that to me applies. I was thinking about this yesterday when I was out on my walk, just my quick exercise, stretch my legs walk, that it was making me think about this in the context of dance and how it relates also to teaching. So much in my life I can relate to dance, which doesn't really, I think often people don't think of that analogy, but it really does apply to me. So for me, I can apply it to teaching, and then for you, you might apply in your job, whatever it is, something going on with you at home, with your kids, it really could. So here's my attempt to explain it, which is that this recently, in the most recent performance that I did on New Year's Eve, I really felt better about my dancing than I ever have. Why? Well, I have a little bit more experience, but it's much more than that. I just felt better. I don't know if it made any kind of difference in how it looked, but I don't really think that's the point. I felt more confident and happier. I felt like I was radiating the joy that I felt inside as to how happy that form of dance makes me. And when you can see people smiling at you and reacting to you, and then coming up and saying nice things to you about how much they enjoyed watching your whatever it is that you're doing, in this case dancing, but maybe it's your teaching or whatever, that tells me that it has worked. I think that there's, to a certain extent, there's only so much you can do, right? There are certain things about ourselves that we're just born with, and you can hone technique. Applies again, dancing, teaching, other types of performing like acting, singing. Sure, you can improve, certainly with experience over time and with training, but you have just a certain level, right? Everybody has a base level that God gave them, and whatever it is. So when it comes to acting, singing, terrible. I am terrible at those things. And so everybody's just got some things that they're better at than others. And so I think, though, that besides just getting some experience and training, being able to improve, to a certain extent, I think that your performance improves just from your confidence and the way that you feel inside. So because there's I'm never going to be, the next Fifi Abdu, some kind of belly dancing sensation. But I really think that when you feel better about what you're doing, you feel confident and joyful, that really does improve your performance. Because, of course, your performance is about a lot more than your ability. It's about your expression, your what you are radiating from within. It really, really is. When you see somebody dancing or in some other way in the performing arts, be joyful or an otherwise emotional. Sometimes music isn't joyful. There may be a certain piece of music that has more of a sad sort of a tone, or if the lyrics are sad, let's say. And so the emotion that you could express when you're performing to that song might not be joy, but just seeing somebody really put emotion behind what they're doing, and you can see, oh, this is a meaningful song. I can really see that this was something that this is bringing back a memory of something in their life that may have been difficult for them, but they came out on the other side, let's say. There's a lot going on in a song, but I really think that you can express that. And when the audience sees that, that is powerful. And I've been watching a lot more dancers on YouTube during my lunch hour while I eat. And I used to be afraid to do that because it would make me feel bad about my own dancing if I'm keeping it real, like, oh, I'll never be as good as she is. I don't feel that way anymore. I watch and I think, well, yeah, I'm never going to be as good as she is in terms of some of these dancers that I'm watching. But that's not what I focus on anymore. I enjoy the dancing, and I take away. I'm like, oh, wow, I really liked what she did with her hands and her arms. And I find that I'm bringing that into my own dancing more. I doubt that it looks as good as what I'm watching in the video. But that's not the point. I feel better about it. I feel like this more of the sense of community that I'm learning from the greater dance community around the world, and that makes me happy. And when I'm happy, I'm projecting that happiness and more confidence when I dance. It feels good, and I really feel that same way about teaching. Last semester, I was miserable, and I have a very easygoing personality, so I don't think I was projecting misery, but I know that I was at least sometimes projecting the very anxious, harried, flying by the seat of my pants sensation that I was going through for the entire semester. I always felt like I would forget my head if it wasn't attached. I was constantly forgetting my keys in my flash drive and having to look down at my notes. I don't like having to do that when I'm speaking in front of a group. I want to be able to just speak and not have to look at anything because I've got it down. And at the beginning of each week, I mean, by the end of the week, sure, because I had already taught it 10 to 13 times, but at the beginning of the week, I was always so out of sorts because I barely had any time to prepare because I was so busy teaching the previous week's lesson, the week where there just wasn't a lot of downtime. And that's not a good feeling. But now I think it's going to be a little bit different. And I was thinking about this thing with the dance and projection and feeling happier and more confident about what you're doing and how that radiates out to others. And I really, really feel that I'm going to try to employ that in my teaching this year. That has happened for me in the past. I have felt good when I have been teaching, and I can tell that, when it goes well or when, obviously sometimes it's not going to go well. And sometimes that can be because you're not on your A game. Sometimes it could be that the students are just, it's not always you. It's a two-way street, and if they're, half asleep, it's an early class or a late class, and they're just not going to give anything, it's really hard to get through to them, and you could stand on your head and, be Jesus with the Sermon on the Mount, and they're not going to really be paying much attention and therefore not very engaged. But generally speaking, if you bring it when you come to teach, that is going to radiate off to the students. And I really saw that last semester in terms of my nurturing personality. I could tell that I soothed a lot of the students. It's going to be all right. Let me help you with this. Don't worry. You're doing fine. Just do this. And I'd say, oh, I could see the relief. I'm good at that. But there was just so many struggles that I went through last semester that I want to change that about the spring, and therefore change the way I feel about it and what I'm projecting out to them. And I think that that's going to create a better experience all around. So that's really been on my mind, and I'm feeling good about it. So that's the first step. And part of that has been just renewed inspiration for me in other areas of my life that then allows me to dwell in the happy place, in the place where I can be positive. And so dance has been a very happy place for me and creatively. And so I've been working on some new things, some new choreographies I'm really excited about. And that really does help me to be more creative and inspired in my teaching, because I'm feeling good about that. And so I've got a couple of classes this weekend. Super excited. Dance classes. And I'm going to call her back. Um, that has been really boosting my spirits. The other thing that has been boosting my spirits is St. Francis de Sales. So I wrote about him yesterday. I'm going to link to that post where I linked out in that post to my piece over at Catholic Mom. I had lots of nice responses over there about St. Francis de Sales and how he's this kind of quiet sleeper of a saint. His feast day being at the end of January. And I'm going to be praying his novena that starts Sunday, January 15th. So if you'd like to join in, I've got a link in the show notes to the page that you can go out with to the prayers. And I'm excited about that. His feast is January 26th. Like I said, the novena begins the 15th. I've already got some people that are going to be praying along. I'd love to have you join. I saw Robin posted on my post yesterday that she commented that she was going to be joining in. I believe Gina said she was going to be joining in. And I know I've got Sam and Christina and Allison, my sister Shauna. There's probably others. So if you're going to be joining in, let us know. I'm excited. So I've just been finding lots of hope in St. Francis de Sales. And so I mentioned yesterday in my post, and I'll put a link right to Amazon for this, a book that Barb over at Catholic Mom had told me about. And the book is called Live Today Well, I believe. And let me check while we're talking, because my copy is set to be delivered today. Live Today Well, indeed. And it is by Father Thomas Daly, and it is about St. Francis's writings and philosophy on holiness. And St. Francis de Sales is very well known for his writings directed to lay people, that it was very easy for lay people to relate to and understand what he had to say, and he spoke directly to them. And that is really a remarkable thing, I think, for the time period in which he lived and for his level of intellect. And he's a doctor of the church, St. Francis de Sales, so he was an extensive academic writer, but yet his writings were easily understood by everyday people. And I think that that's a wonderful quality. So this book is about St. Francis de Sales is best known for Introduction to the Devout Life. I have a copy here somewhere, so I was starting to look for it, but I don't think it's on the desk right now. No, it's not. I have the Story of a Soul on the desk right now. So it's on the bookshelf. And this sort of applies those writings and expounds upon them in a even easier to read manner, and organizes it in terms of just an everyday life, just based upon looking at the table of contents, which I did on Amazon. And I am super excited about this book. And Robin and Gina both wrote in that they were wanting to be reading along with me. I know Samantha is as well. And so the print copy is $11.99. I ordered it. I think it's coming today. I have Amazon Prime. It's all exciting. But there is a Kindle copy available for $9.99 if you want the instant gratification option, which I usually do. So I think for ordinary time, I'm going to post about this every week. It's not going to be heavily structured. We don't have to all be at the same place in the book at the same time or anything like that. I mean, maybe I'll come up with a loose type of a guide for how I'm going to be reading it, how quickly, which is to say not quickly at all probably, if you'd like to go at my exact pace. But even if you're not, we can just converse, I think, on a weekly basis about a theme from the book. That's my tentative plan before I have it in hand. And we're going to do this for ordinary time. So we have a decent stretch of ordinary time this year between Christmas season and Lent, because Ash Wednesday is not until March 1st. So we've got half of January and all of February. So I think that in that amount of time we can maybe finish, or mostly finish, the book. We could always finish up in early Lent. I don't see anything wrong with that. But I would like to do another read along for Lent. Yay. And I'll tell you about that closer to. I have a book in mind that I'd like to read, and I think you're going to like it. Nonfiction. So, but you know me, I like light nonfiction, so I think that it will be appealing to many of you. So we will be doing some nice reading together. I haven't been calling these book clubs, you'll notice. I'm probably going to categorize them At least the Lent one is the Catholic Book Club. I'll probably use that tag on it again. But I don't want it to be too structured because then I set myself up to fail. So I want it to be just a very gentle, loose type of a plan so that we can all just enjoy our read and not feel pressured to get to a certain part. I just, based upon experience here with myself. So I'm excited about all of this that we have coming up. So I'll post about Live Today Well next week, just like an introduction, like how we're going to do this. So if you want to order the book, you have plenty of time to get it. And then we'll start like officially pulling a theme probably the week after. So that would be, what day is today? I believe today is January 12th. So next week, sometime around the 18th, I'll post that introduction. And then sometime around the 25th would be our first kind of theme talk. So if you want to plan. Yay, lovely. And so all of that has just been making me feel more positive and hopeful about what's coming up here for the short term. I think that just given the semester I have coming up, that the St. Francis de Sales book is going to be right on target for helping me to set that spiritual wellness as a priority and to get through this with a positive outlook. Because that was another one of my New Year's resolutions is wellness, physical, emotional, spiritual. So I think it's going well so far. 11 days in. Got a long way to go, but I feel cautiously optimistic. So let me know if you're going to be praying the novena, if you're going to be doing the Live Today Well read along, if you're interested in the Lenten book club. I'll reveal that title coming up here, but it's a nonfiction light read, so which is to say more of a personal memoir type of a book. So if you're interested, let me know. I look forward to talking to you all soon. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you next week. Bye.